Hi, I'm better than you.
Today on Honestly, Dear Listener, we're talking about our unconscious biases and how we can explore why we hold on to them so tightly.
Eep, eep, this shit is deep.
We're two childhood best friends who think we're better than each other.
I'm Emily Hatch.
And I'm Carrie Schaefer, and this is Honestly, Dear Listener.
Honestly, dear listener.
Woo!
Last week, I went to a bar down the street and I sat next to a guy, and about, I don't know, 2 minutes or less into the conversation, he asked me if I believe in God.
Oh,
And the bartender's like, "Oh, don't be asking her that." And that's my terrible Irish accent, sort of
I liked
hinting.
it.
It's bad. So he said, "Do you believe in God?" And I said, well, my dad was a pastor growing up, so I guess I do, but I do believe in more of a energy." And he just like his face just was hilarious, just like dropped, and he's like his eyebrows furrowed, and he's like, and I said, "I believe that God is more like a force or like the universe or whatever that's on our side, you know?" And he
Mm.
goes, "Well, do you at least believe God's a man?" And I said, "No." I said, "If God were to identify with any pronouns, it would be they, them." And the bartender, who is a little younger than me, just um, and then he changed the subject, and we had a great rest of the conversation. But being around people that are very much different than your normal hangout crowd
hmm
can be interesting and fun. I will say I did not choose to go to that bar to watch the Super Bowl because I was very afraid of the words I would hear coming out of these people's mouths during the halftime show.
Racial words.
Yeah, I just really chose to not have that be the place that I watched Kendrick Lamar, which
Yeah.
was fucking fire, by
Oh
the
my
way.
gosh. Yeah.
Um, it
Whew.
was amazing. I wanna watch it again and again.
I wish it had subtitles. Like, I
Mm,
feel like I don't know his music well enough to be like, "Oh, I know what he's saying," you know?
mhm,
And so, I sure looked up those lyrics afterwards and was
mm,
like, "Okay,
mhm, mhm.
let's go."
Yeah, the symbol I've been reading some of, like, the symbolism and what he was saying that he wasn't saying, but he was saying, subtext, I believe that's called,
Yes.
and, the movement and the choices of, like, how people were. Yeah, it was incredible. So,
Yeah.
but I chose to not watch that at
That's
my
fair.
local watering hole. I went
That's fair.
another 2 blocks and watched it somewhere else because New York. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Nice.
yeah. But it's interesting. I like to have a wide range of folks I talk to, and I do think that it makes you more compassionate for the people on the internet that you disagree with.
Mhm.
And one way that I've like noticed that is growing up in Grand Junction and being in the music scene in Grand Junction, a lot of old white dudes there, and then being online with them on Facebook and seeing what they actually believe very strongly was like hard,
Mhm.
but so interesting because we could be in these spaces together for hours making music, doing all this cool stuff, and it never came up. And I would say they're good people and I like them. And then I go on Facebook and I'm like, oh, ew, I would never talk
Mhm.
to you if
Mhm.
this is all I saw of you. So I think it's very interesting to see that there are many sides of people. Um,
It definitely is. Things look and feel different when there's skin on the political issue.
mhm, mhm.
And that's what's so hard about the internet and social media is you're not hearing how a person is saying something. You're it's easier for people to not consider someone else's humanity, that that's a real person on the other
Mhm.
side of the internet that you're
Mhm.
talking to. And then also, I think, there's that phenomenon that people, when they're not seeing that other person and seeing their humanity, it's a lot easier to be cruel.
Mhm.
And everyone's seen that. People that I'm like, "No, you don't understand. This is the nicest, kindest person. They would never say this stuff." For some reason, online become emboldened to be mean.
The anonymity and the
Yes.
echo chamber. I mean, I think we have to all be careful. There are a lot of feelings on this. I think we all have to be careful about our own echo chambers
Mhm.
and villainizing a group of people. I it sounds really weird, but it's like if you separate from the folks you totally don't agree with,
Mhm.
then you don't see their humanity either and they
Mhm.
don't see yours. Like if people aren't okay with trans folks until their kid is one
Yep.
or they're one of their favorite people that they talk to at the bar that, "Oh, I didn't know you were a trans person." Like, "Oh,"
Mhm.
and then suddenly that starts to shift the narrative for them in, well, I mean, this used to be I think this is how racism in some respects, it's like, okay, well, my grandfather didn't talk to a lot of black people, but he then became friends with one or two and was like, "Oh, it's not so bad." And now the narrative changed
Mhm.
to I see human beings. But when we're on the internet, we don't see human beings.
Yes.
And when we keep in our own echo chambers, we just say us and them. It's not
Mhm.
like, oh, people I know. I don't
Mhm.
know. It's taking the humanity away. And what I am really afraid
Mm.
of in this like red hat world is that we're gonna as like more liberal people start pulling away from them and yelling at them and then thereby like the only thing that they'll have to see from us is yelling liberal
Mhm.
people. I didn't intend
Yeah.
to go here with this, but I
No,
just am like
yeah, it's
some of your
what's happening. I'm also concerned about, because so many liberal people are angry, myself included,
same.
if I'm honest, that that more than half the country elected somebody who is unkind. And
And terrifying.
yeah, and I feel anger about that. Now, what I'm concerned about is that as shit keeps hitting the fan with our presidential office, that conservatives that vote or moderates that voted for him are going to start going, "Whoa, oh my gosh, no, 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 no! Like this is scary."
Mm,
And they're gonna want to align with some party or some group of people, and I'm afraid that more liberal people are, because they're so angry, are going to say, nope, you can't come over here,
mhm,
you're the reason why we're in this mess.
mhm.
So absolutely, you decided to shit in your bed, now you gotta lie in it,
Yep, yep.
instead of being like, yeah, we've all had a reversal of thinking at some point. My gosh, you and I have deconstructed from fundamentalist Christianity. Like we've had a huge reversal of faith in our lives. And
Mhm.
and I have only met people who have welcomed me with open arms that were not Christians,
Yeah.
and said, "Yep, I get it. You were raised that way. You were raised with a lot of prejudice, but like you're here now. So
Mhm.
welcome to the party."
But if you
That's
go
yeah.
if you try to go back, they don't get it because it's the like, "I'm better than you and you're a
Mhm.
backslider now." Sorry, but it is like a closed
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that was like way off
Not
of
according to my mom. My mom would be thrilled if I came back, but I think there would be some people that would be like, "No,
but you
you
can't
made your choices."
come back different, though. You can't come back different. You have to come back the same.
How you
Yeah.
left off.
So there's no room for it's almost like if we could be open to each other as collaborators on our country
Yeah, yeah. That's a really good way to put it.
instead of like sides because a lot of liberals are like, "Well, you can't give on any of this shit. This is the way it is." I mean, I remember a friend of mine, I couldn't have a conversation with her. I didn't understand things. She could have and and in some ways like was in a prime place should have been able to teach me. I just didn't know. I grew up in
Yeah.
Grand Junction and I had a very like limited view. I didn't understand. And she
Mhm.
would yell at me and call like say I was this and like you're sexist and you're blah blah. And I was like, I
I don't know.
I truly wanted to understand so that
Mhm.
but just yelling that at me didn't make me change. It made me just not want to talk to her anymore.
Totally. And that's I think what we need to keep in mind when I mean, if people are and I expect, maybe I'm wrong here, but I expect that as people become more and more disillusioned with the current regime, that it's going to cause them to ask questions
Mhm.
and they're going to go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, what?" And maybe it's going to cause them to question just like it did me when I was faced with a friend saying, "You just said a racist comment." And I'm going, "No, no, no, I was just joking." And then being like, "It's not funny. And if you're going to keep doing that, this friendship is not going to work."
Mm.
That was the catalyst behind why I became interested in trying to do the work of
Mhm.
becoming an anti-racist. And if that person had been like really unkind and mean about I mean, they were very direct and I appreciate that.
Mhm.
But they also explained to me and we had a dialogue and
Mhm.
they allowed room for asking really, really ignorant questions.
Mhm.
And because there was a foundation of relationship there that was like, we can always fall back on our relationship, understand that my heart is truly to understand. And
Mhm.
so I think that's maybe what we need to understand as liberals, as people who have done some work,
Mhm.
understanding that people that are new to the work are going to quote unquote make mistakes, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
And for us to be like, hey, I'm not gonna be, like, hitting you over the head with, "You're a racist, you're a racist, you're a ra," but instead explaining with kindness and gentleness, "Hey, when you say this, this is what's happening. This
Mhm.
is essentially what you're saying about this group of people. Do
Mhm.
you want to have said that?" And I feel like most of the time people are gonna say, "Whoa, I didn't mean that. I
Mm.
didn't even think about the implications of that."
Mhm.
And to be patient with that and kind and gentle about it, if
Mhm.
people are wanting to learn.
We all have to remain open to getting better
Mhm.
and to being a person that could explain and shed some light on something and assume
Mhm.
I don't believe that. I mean, they say people aren't inherently bad or like, or racist or whatever. Uh, they just end up being taught those things. And if that's the case, then that is because it's their community
Absolutely.
that is doing that thing. So if you're a member of a different type of community, then you're somewhat of an example of how to show people that they could think a different way or be a little
Mhm.
mushy. It's like if you're collaborating with a creative, you don't come in and both go like, "Well, I have this. Well, I have this." Like you go like, "I have this. What do you have?" "Oh, I have
Mhm.
this." Like, "Oh, there might be stuff I kind of hate about that idea." But I don't like could we still chat about
Mm.
maybe we can make this work? Cuz in creative situation you have the option of leaving and here you don't really, cuz it's
Yeah,
living
it's a lot
and
harder,
yeah.
at least.
Um but yeah, and I don't when I say all this, I don't mean it to say, like, accept that people are being terrible and just be like,
Mhm.
"It's okay." That's not what I'm saying,
Mhm.
but I am saying, "Okay, well, this is my opinion, and I'm a good person, and that's your opinion, and I hope you're a good person." That's like we could
Mhm.
have a conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting out, I mean, I think that's a lot of why when they say that college makes people liberal, it's being in rooms with people that you never
Mhm.
would have been in the room with. That's what makes
Totally.
because it opens your mind because you cannot exist in a situation with people that are different than you and stay the same. You have
Totally.
to mush.
Right? All right. I'm going to be real transparent, cuz I know that we here on the show are like, that's not right. That's not right. People should be like this. I am still very much learning myself and trying to practice what I preach, and I have times as well where I come up against my unconscious biases and what I've been taught because, we're all products of how we were raised. I was raised middle class, very conservative, fundamentalist Christian, bubble protected, cloistered, monitored, making sure that what I ingest or what I see or what I do is very much in line with what a good Christian girl does. So that's kind of the soup that I was swimming in for most of my life. And then as an adult, I went to college and I like being in spaces where we can have educated, kind, but direct conversations with people as a dialogue. I like that. That's what I seek out. Anyway, so if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that Emily and I set goals that we want to accomplish every quarter. And one of my goals this quarter is that I would go and read in a public scenario at like a spoken word situation, something that I wrote. And so I did that. I went online and I tried to find an open word situation. I found one, and then I went ahead and I signed up for it. And so when the day came, which was Monday, I went and I pulled up and I went, oh my gosh, okay, this isn't what I was expecting. I was expecting, like kind of a place, maybe like a restaurant slash bar. It was a lot different than I was expecting. It was a dive bar in a part of town that is a little rougher. And immediately, and this is, I think, this is a survival thing. There were alarms going off in my brain as I was sitting in the car that went, okay, think about this, Carrie. You are a small female that's alone at night at a dive bar in a part of town that maybe isn't as secure as what you're used to. And I was like, no, I think I would really regret. I think I would regret just driving away. So I'm going to go in. And if I keep getting some signals of like, "Ugh,"
Mhm.
then we can always get in our car. We have agency. We can leave. So I went in, I sat at the bar, and the lady said, "Hey, what you having?" And I said, I don't know, something cozy like a hot tea." And she looks at me and she says, "We have beer." And I said, "Okay." And I felt really stupid. And the second I walked in, I was telling you earlier, Emily, the second I walked in, I felt like I was 14 and homeschooled and like hoity-toity AF. And I was like, okay, I don't want to feel this way. Anyway, so I have my beer, and there are conversations happening behind me about how global warming isn't a thing and how we're slowly being replaced by machines, robots, reptilian life forms that are disguised as humans. And I'm like, wait, what? Wait, I'm sorry, huh? You
I
know?
mean, fair. That's the only part I agree with. It's possible.
Maybe
Um,
that's why things are getting so unstable and crazy in this country. I don't know.
there are roaches in skin suits running around. I mean, Men in Black said it was gonna happen, so, like
Yes. So we started the spoken word thing, and a couple of people got up, and these are the themes that I noticed throughout the night. White male anger and rage,
Mhm.
shut up, bitch, whiskey, 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 and I'm a hobo
I'm a hobo on a train
on a train. Yeah.
because when you said that to me earlier, that made me really happy. I don't know why that I'm a hobo on a train.
Yeah. Those were the things, and maybe, and I will say too, I might be I know I am definitely filtering the whole situation through my own lens. I just felt like I heard a lot of anger,
Mhm.
and there was commentary on I work an 8 to 5 and I'm never going to get ahead,
Mhm.
and it's exhausting. I heard people talking about that, their jobs that they've been at for 42 years,
Mm.
and it's rough, and it's, so a couple of things happened here. Number 1, I got a better understanding of what is happening out in the world than what I see in my social media,
Mm.
right? And I have curated the algorithm is totally left for
Mm.
me.
Mhm.
It's like, woke liberals and anti-racist folks and Black Lives Matter folks. Like, it's all that, right? So I'm going, wait, who in their right mind would have voted for that guy? And going to the dive bar the other night, I was like, oh, this is how he got elected, because
Mhm.
he was appealing to people's sense of like, I can't get ahead.
Mm.
There were
Mhm.
some promises made, and we'll see if they actually come to fruition. I'm guessing not.
Mhm.
Um, but there were promises made to people that I think gave them hope that he was going to tear down the old system and build something new in which they could get ahead.
Mhm.
And so I'm starting to understand, and getting to see these issues with skin on, people walking around and being like, I feel like a cog, and I don't feel
Mm.
like I have hope.
When you say really quick with skin on, do you mean like not online or like not the idea of these people, but actual humans?
The second one.
Okay, sorry, just
Yes,
making sure.
not the idea embodied in an actual person, a
Mhm.
living, breathing person.
Mhm. See, and that's the thing. That's what we're talking about. It's like human beings want hope.
Mhm,
They want to feel like they matter. They want to feel like they belong. They
mhm.
wanna feel like they can have a fucking life.
Well, and to piggyback on your point that you just made, for a hot minute during COVID, I was going to school board meetings and trying to strategize and do some community building, before we moved from Colorado to Tennessee. And it was mostly liberals in the room. And from several people, I heard these people are willfully and purposefully trying to screw up this country. They are. And actually, one of the candidates that had gotten elected to the school board, very conservative, right? Like, I do not agree with her on most issues. However, she was one of my youth leaders at youth group growing up in
Oh
church.
my god.
So I know her, and I know her heart, and I know her intentions. And she's not the kind of person that would be like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to screw all this up. I'm going to mess it all up on purpose to where it's in shambles and people are unhappy and miserable because that's fun. And it took, like, I sat there with these liberals and I said, listen, I know this world. I came from this world. I came from this ideology. I can tell you with 100% certainty that these people don't wake up in the morning and say, I want to burn it all down because I want people to be miserable. And they were like, that's not true. That's not true. And I said, it is 100% is true. They want the exact same things you do. They want safety for their kids. They want to feel like they want to feel respected. They want to feel considered. They want the basic human rights that you're fighting for too. They disagree with you on how to get there. But I guarantee you, they're not out there trying to screw up your life.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
I had some that were like, "Oh, okay," and some that would not believe me no matter what I said.
I mean, there is this undertone of, "And it has to be my way," that that can't be ignored because it's, like, the Christian part of it.
Mhm,
The evangelical part is, like, "And it must be the 10
mhm.
commandments in your classroom," and,
Right.
that part, guys, fucking relax. But it's true. Humanity overall doesn't have some kind of evil plan
Mhm.
to do anything but live their lives and try to, but I think the problem is the actionable items that they want to, quote, "fix" about
Right.
others. That is really a problem.
Yes.
But sorry,
No, go ahead.
I digress, and we can't it's not like we can fix all of the world's problems here, and I'm sure there are so many people who could say that there's so much wrong with everything we're saying right now, um, and it's in my nature to be like, I'm sorry, I don't know everything, and I might have just said some weird shit." Um,
Yeah, by the way, Emily and I are not experts on this stuff. Emily and I are just people, and we're just saying what's coming up for us. We could be ignorant on certain things.
I'm sure we are.
Absolutely. I'm sure.
uh, I think the real what it really boils down to is becoming compassionate,
Mhm,
not only for the people who agree with you and voted for who you voted for, because you want that compassion from them.
mhm,
This is like probably the evangelical in me. We can't reach them if
mhm.
we're fighting with them.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, to my on the other hand, when I
Mhm.
just said that people are not out to screw it all up, I believe that's most people. I
Mhm.
will put in a caveat that there are people who, for whatever reason, are so I tell this is how I say it to my boys. Their hearts are so ouchy and they're hurting so much inside that they value things that are kind of yucky.
Mhm.
Like, I want power, I want money, and I will mow down anyone that gets in the way of me attaining those things.
Mhm.
I wanna leave room. There are those people, as we can see on
Mhm.
a daily basis.
Mhm.
So I wanna just put that in there.
And those people don't care about you at all, by
Right,
the way.
right.
Like,
But I
yeah.
do think that the vast majority of people, and that's conservatives and liberals and everywhere in between, people everywhere, that the vast majority of people, they just want the same things and they're not trying to screw up anyone's life.
Mhm. That yeah, yeah.
So, anyway, but yeah, okay, so I went to the bar, I noticed some things. The second thing I noticed was that I had this thought that was, and this is embarrassing, y'all. This is me. I'm getting really honest here. I had this thought that was, wait, where are all the intellectuals? And then I went, ew, what did you just say? And I said, the people that went to college that like can talk about nuance and symbolism and like foreshadowing and subtext and like all of these kind of, and it was I started no I at first was like, "Bleh, what is going on with you? This sounds classist AF."
Mhm.
And then I started getting curious about it. I think there are going to always be people you naturally jive with. Humans look for people who are like them. That's
Mhm.
what we do. That's a survival thing.
Yep.
And it's been like that, I would imagine, for the whole of human history. However, we have higher level thinking. We are able to think beyond survival.
Mhm.
Um, and anyway, it I got really curious about where that's from, and I feel like I've done work on anti-racist work, and I've done work on, deconstructing myself and releasing empathy towards others and releasing empathy towards myself. And yet I wonder if there is a classist thing that I
Mm,
have inside that I have not examined.
mm,
I was surprised by it.
mm. I think it's really important to notice that stuff and be like, "Ooh." And I think that's what keeps it in check,
Mhm.
because if you were just thinking it and not noticing it, you just I mean, like, it's good that you notice this,
Mhm.
right? And also, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Like, at the one place that you could find that had something that you had as a goal to do,
Mhm.
this is the one place, and this is who was there.
Mhm.
While we are not doing this that much and going to share our art and doing this,
Mhm.
this group of folks was.
Yep.
They were showing up and doing their shit.
Which I
And
have such respect for.
right? And
Mhm.
we were talking about this before. It's like so interesting. And I've thought about this with, so I've gone to like songwriter nights or like, music nights and been like, these is not a lot of people that I think I would like to hear perform ever again.
Right.
And that's my nice way of saying that. And I'm like, I feel like a dick for that.
Mhm.
But then I'm like, bitch, they're showing up
Yes. Yes.
while no one else is, and they're sitting in their apartments. Maybe they're writing their songs, but they're not letting anyone hear them. They're
Mhm.
sitting on Instagram judging people. We're like, whatever, too afraid. And these
Mhm.
people are showing up. And
Yeah.
so it's just so it's interesting. It's like,
Mhm.
hmm,
Yeah.
what does that say? Like,
Yeah.
I need to show up more. That's
Yep.
what I think.
Yeah.
Um, and notice my weird ass biases and be like, okay, check yourself before you wreck yourself over here. Don't be a bitch.
Totally.
And I think it's really normal.
Yes. I absolutely
Like,
think it's
it's
normal.
human. We
Yes.
want, like you said, we need to categorize people. That's how we scan and go, is there anyone like me here?
Mhm.
No? Oh. Oh. And then wait.
Mhm.
Okay, now could we like look at people as human beings that are just doing the same shit that we're doing? Great. That'd be great.
Right.
Um, you know.
Well, and who am I to scan the room, say, "Where are the intellectuals?" Like, I do not know. I am basing this on some very, very shallow set of criteria, right? I do not know how intellectual someone is. I do not
Mhm.
know how much education they've had. I do not know what their mental capacity is. I don't kn like, I am making a snap judgment based on the set of criteria that has been passed down to me and reinforced over and over and over within my specific group that
Mhm.
I feel comfortable with, and because that's what I know.
Mhm.
And so I especially want to check myself on, just because you're seeing a person, you don't know everything that's going on inside. You don't
Mhm.
know. And
Mhm.
we can easily, myself obviously included, can make some snap judgments that are dead wrong.
Mhm.
And and so that's a good reminder for me that you don't know. So just like, let's suspend our judgment for a second,
Mhm.
you know?
Yep. And I think that's so great and such a good point. And I have a really weird turn here.
Turn it.
I think we grew up, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think we grew up needing to think we were better than other people.
100%. Yes. Sorry, I'm all yelling.
This is great. In order to move and have any sense of self,
Mhm.
we had to look at others as worse than us
Yes.
because we had to go save them.
Yeah. We had what they needed.
Right.
We were the ones in power, essentially.
Yep. And That's the only confidence we had, was that we are going to heaven and you won't unless I talk to you.
Right.
So you are inherently worse than me. When I was growing up, everyone used to always say that I thought I was so much better than
Mhm.
them. I really did not feel that, actually. Like, I didn't think I'm better than you, but I did.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't realize that I did. And
Mm.
so people were picking up on something that was like I was being raised as, and I had no fucking idea. I just felt so dejected and like
Mhm.
outcast. Like, why are these people treating me like I think I'm better than them? So anyway, being in these rooms, I think our initial for us in the way we grew up, and I think this is a lot of people, not just fundamentalist Christians, but
Mhm.
we almost have to, when we're vulnerable, try to figure out who we're better than so
Mm.
that we'll be okay.
Mhm. Yep. Oh, Emily, that's so true. Yep.
I think this happens in audition rooms. I think this happens like, and when we can't find people we think we're better than, we don't want to do it,
Yes.
right? I mean,
Totally.
students tell me this all the time, that I
Mm.
went to this open mic and everyone was so much better than me, so I couldn't do it. We are assessing our safety
Mhm.
and vulnerability. And so, of course, you fucking walked in and went, I'm better than these people.
Mm.
I can say my thing. Like, we haven't even talked about how your reading went, by the
Mm.
way. How was it?
It was great. I
Yay.
I absolutely adore getting up and reading my own stuff.
And it's so important. Like,
Mhm.
I am so proud of you. Like, we haven't even talked about that because this is a fucking quarter goal that you just did.
Yeah.
Okay. No wonder when you're doing something very scary and very
Mm.
vulnerable that is brand new, you
Mhm.
walk into a room and try to figure out if you're better than everyone else. And
Mhm.
when I shared my songs recently, I did the same thing. I
Mhm.
went to each of these open mics before I would do it and
Mm.
assessed that I was mostly better than people.
Hmm.
Look, like, this is not cool. This is gonna get released at some point if I ever get famous and be like, "Emily thinks she's better." This is fucking humanity.
Yeah.
Am I safe?
Mhm.
Am I okay?
Mhm.
These people are weird, so I'm okay.
Mm.
They might not be, actually. Like,
Totally.
and
Yeah.
that's the thing. And if people are looking at me and going, "It's fine. This bitch is crazy. I can do this." Like, great. Please use me as the weird bitch that makes you able to do your thing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, if this old lady with jowls can get up on this stage, bless her heart, I can get up here. I'm not old. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm sorry that I'm having like a fucking moment here. I just didn't expect it to take this turn.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think we were primed from a young age to have a sense of elitism because the god of the universe
It's my dad.
is my dad, and he revealed the truth, to me.
Mhm.
And the truth is that I'm going to heaven, and I have the truth and you don't, and you're going to hell.
Mhm.
And therefore, you know, I was chosen and you weren't.
Mhm.
Like that we were primed to think this stuff, and primed that like we're right, the rest of the world is screwed, and you need to be in the world but not of it. You need to be above all of that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, yeah, I absolutely, yeah, I think you're 100% right. That resonates so much with me.
I appreciate it. I also think, like I said, I just want to reiterate, I think this applies to humans in
Yeah.
general. Um, we need to feel safe and we need to feel like we have something
Mhm.
better than other people to offer, or else why would we make any noise at all?
Right.
So if you're going into the room, I mean, people tell me all the time, I'm very hard on people. I'm a not they tell me that I am, but that they are. Like, I am hard on people. And so we're worried when we go into a room that there's a bunch of us's in the room
Mm, mhm.
judging and seeing if we're better than them
Mhm.
or they're better than us or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
It's human nature.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't we also go in being like, I want to find my people and I want to find people that are really good and I want to be friends with them. And I want to be like, I want a community. So it's like we
Mhm.
need to feel like we're better than everybody if we're vulnerable. And
Right.
then we also want to find like our buddies.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's weird that dichotomy, isn't it?
Yes.
Because you're
It
like, oh, I don't want to think I'm better than my friends. I just want to be their
totally.
friends.
Where do we go from here? Like, I do believe so much of it is noticing and getting curious about why,
Hmm.
but I don't know. I don't really know what to do about that. It kind of does make me feel like though that like because it is true. I don't leave my house very often. And when I do go out into the world, it's to meet with other people in like spaces that are like me.
Hmm.
And it kind of does make me wonder if I need and want to be expanding myself into other spaces. I'm not saying like put myself into situations that are unsafe necessarily,
Right. Yeah.
but I am saying that to expose myself to people who are different than me and to not just straight out the gate be like, this is different. It's that means it's bad. Goodbye.
Mhm,
You know?
mhm. Yeah.
And but I think that that takes conscious work. It's easy to be around people that we're like,
Mhm,
but I feel a sense of resistance being like, these are not my people. I do
mhm,
not understand and I don't want to. Goodbye, you know? But
mhm,
instead being like, no, 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 I'm gonna be aware of the feeling. I'm gonna get curious about the feeling and I'm gonna push into that because I
mhm.
want to know more and I want to expand and I don't just want to be bubble girl.
I think you just answered your own
Did I
"What do
answer
we
my own
do
question?
now?"
I mean, I
Yeah,
don't have the right answers. That's just that's what's coming up into
but
my
that
brain.
I think that's literally what do you do now is that.
Mm.
You need to get out more in places that you haven't been, like, and notice
Mhm.
and not run away unless you are not safe,
Right.
actually safe. And then it doesn't mean you have to go be places you hate with people you don't like. It just means like go explore more.
Mhm.
Maybe, I mean, next time, don't say in the mic, "Hi, I'm Carrie. I'm better than you." Oh, wait, you didn't do that. That's good. So,
I'd like to go on record as saying I did not do that thing, but yes, I will not be doing that in the future either. And get curious about all of it. Where did it come from? Why do you think you're feeling that way? What is that feeling doing for you? Well, thank you for listening to my confessional. Uh
that's gonna be a clip one day if I ever have commercial success. I do think I'm better than people. I don't think I'm better than you.
I know. I know. Well, dear listener, thank you for coming along with us on this journey of honesty and vulnerability.
Whoop. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Honestly, dear listener.